Welcome to Real Recaps. Today we'll look at a horror film titled Virus 32. The movie begins in a tiny apartment in a city in Uruguay. An elderly woman takes pity on her hungry pet bird, so she darts to the kitchen for some food. But when she returns to its cage, the bird is no longer there. She looks inside the living room, and sees her husband is in a weird trance, clutching the bird in his hand with blood dripping from his nose. In a nearby apartment, a young woman, Iris, is talking to her roommate. Iris is a divorced mother. She ducks into her room and gets dressed for work. Someone knocks on the door, and her roommate informs her that Iris' daughter and ex-husband are there. Since separating from her husband, Iris has been co-parenting with him, by having half custody of her daughter, Tata. Tata immediately notices the empty liquor bottles strewn around the place, and disapproves of her mother's wild behavior. Iris dodges the topic, and instead tells Tata that she must go to work. Iris talks with her ex-husband, who comments that Iris' next-door elderly neighbors are making a ruckus like they are killing each other. Iris has no choice but to take Tata with her to work. She's currently employed as a security guard in a sports club. They leave the apartment building, and walk a few blocks to her place of work. The two don't notice the mayhem breaking out across the city. People are running, and police sirens are reverberating loudly. The sports club looks dilapidated, and it's mostly just Iris at the place most of the time. She sneaks her daughter inside, and gives her a tour. Iris takes her to a basketball court and tells Tata to play while she goes to her station to stand guard. She leaves her with a walkie-talkie that she can press if she needs her mother, and assures Tata that she'll be watching her through the CCTV cameras. Iris then leaves the room, and the daughter starts playing basketball. Iris goes to her workstation and lights a cigarette. She watches her daughter through the monitors from the security cameras. Sometime later, she goes out of the room to patrol the sports club. While walking, the lights suddenly turn off. Iris curses and calms her daughter down by talking to her through the walkie-talkie. She heads to the basement and fiddles with the fuse box to get the electricity going again. Tata mentions that whenever she is afraid, she thinks of one of the few happy memories they had as a family. Specifically, the one time they went to the beach with her younger baby brother. The subject of her baby son is a sore one for Iris, and she quickly ends their conversation. Iris walks back to the workstation, but stops in her tracks when she sees two men beating up another man in front of a burning car. She calls the police and the male security guard stationed outside. Later, she goes to the basketball court to look for her daughter and discovers that Tata is missing. She spies a man running around the sports club and shouts at him. He runs to her like a demented zombie, blood all over his face. Iris manages to whack him and run. She locks the door behind her, and traps the man on the lower floor. Iris then goes to the door of the club, and peeks through a hole. She sees carnage unfolding outside. A man is standing motionlessly on the sidewalk as screams echo around. She finally finds her daughter in one of the rooms through the security cameras. For a moment, Iris looks at the tattoo she has on her arm. It's the name of her baby son, with his birth year and death year. She thinks about how she had already lost one child, and if she loses Tata too, she will lose everything. Iris picks up the phone to call the landline in the room where Tata is in. Her daughter picks up, and tells her that she was scared, because someone had broken inside the club. Iris is about to go to Tata when she notices in the security camera an armed man and a little girl entering the sports club. She hides under her desk. Meanwhile, someone is banging loudly on the locked door of the room that Tata hid in. The same demented man from earlier then enters the workstation. He looks for her, and almost reaches the desk she is hiding under. But a cat comes inside the office, and walks toward Iris. The demented man grabs the cat, and bashes its body on the floor. Iris slides out from under the desk and makes her escape. She sees that the man is now in a strange trance and frozen. Iris runs to another room. She immediately looks for her daughter on the cameras and sees that Tata is still hiding. She scrolls to other footage, watching the demented man and the man on the street attacking another man. Iris notices they both have a 32-second interval after each attack, where they are frozen in a trance. She surmises that this 32-second period is the window to escape from the crazed killers. Intent on getting her daughter back, Iris passes through a locker room, and hopes that none of the zombies are there. She quietly creeps to an adjoining hallway, where another zombie pushes her into a shower stall, and attacks her. Iris runs out of the shower and into the pool area. A man named Beardy suddenly yanks her into the pool. The zombie dives in after them, but flails around in the water and dies. She and Beardy surface from the water. He explains that the zombies can't swim and they drown in water. He also adds that the infected can be identified with red scars on their palms. Beardy then checks Iris' palms, to see if she's infected. Her palms look normal. Beardy goes on to tell her that he and his wife were in the ambulance that crashed in front of the sports club. His wife is about to give birth, and he needs Iris's help in delivering the baby. Beardy has prepared by reading up on everything about giving birth, and he will be guiding Iris. He takes her to a separate office in the building. He then yanks the curtains open, revealing his screaming infected wife tied to a chair. Iris is horrified and tries to escape, but Beardy had locked the door when they came in. He pleads with her, telling her that he's holding on to hope that his wife will recover soon. Beardy then reveals that he was actually the person who grabbed Tata earlier. Holding her hostage, he forces Iris to help him deliver his child. Iris tries to fight back, by pointing a sharp screwdriver at Beardy. He responds by choking her. When Iris finally relents, he loosens his grip. Beardy's first task is to move his wife to a safer location. As both of them heave the wheelchair up a set of stairs, he tells her that he awoke one night to his wife suddenly infected by the mysterious virus. She had tried to claw her own pregnant belly open, and he stopped her just in time. Ever since then, he kept her tied up for everyone's safety. The day earlier, Beardy was attacked by a zombie when he was working on his boat. He accidentally pushed the zombie into the water, and he realized that the infected cannot swim. He then offers Iris and Tata a place with him and his wife on their boat, so they can be safe from the zombies. While walking, Iris finds her ex-husband lying on the floor, gravely injured. He had tried to go to the sports club to rescue her and Tata, but was attacked by zombies. The ex-husband doesn't have long to live, and Iris comforts him, telling him that he will be with their dead son soon. It is revealed that their son had drowned to death in the pool Iris had gotten for him. Her ex-husband tells her to take care of Tata now. While this is going on, the wife's water bag breaks. Other zombies also sensed Beardy and Iris in the building, and are now trying to get inside. Iris grabs the ex-husband's car keys, and creates a distraction by hurling smoke bombs she had collected earlier. A male zombie jumps on Iris, but she stabs him. She's about to flee when she sees a female zombie holding a knife approaching Beardy's wife in the wheelchair. The female zombie senses that there's a human fetus inside her belly, and almost stabs her when Iris screams and distracts her, giving Beardy time to whack her in the head with a metal pipe. They wheel the wife into a bedroom, and tie her to the bed. At this point, she's already crowning, so he orders Iris to pull the baby out. The wife gives birth to a baby boy. Blinded by hope, Beardy places the baby in his wife's arms, to see if she can revert to normal. But the 32 seconds run out fast, and the lights in the building go out again. Iris turns on a flashlight, and sees both the baby and the wife have disappeared. They find them in the corner of the room. The wife is holding the baby's head, about to crush it with her hands. Iris pleads with Beardy to do something, and he shoots his wife in the head to save the baby. Beardy then sits in the corner cradling his child. He tells Iris that Tata is in the boiler room. She takes his gun and the keys to his boat. But when she gets there, she sees Tata's backpack on the floor beside a man's dead body, and inside the boiler is the charred remains of a young girl's body. Iris wails in grief and mourns for her daughter, thinking she has died. But it turns out, Tata is still alive, and is hiding in one of the small rooms upstairs. She says that Beardy helped her hide in a boiler room, and left her there. Then the man came in with his young daughter. They went to the boiler room, but were deluged by dozens of zombies, and they killed the man and threw his daughter inside the boiler. After this, Iris decides to go through the corridor so they can exit the building. However, zombies are congested in that corridor. Luckily, the 32-second interval starts again, and they make their way along the corridor with all the zombies in a trance. But as they approach the end, time runs out and the zombies chase them again. Iris and Tata use their father's car as a distraction. Meanwhile, they cleverly slip down a manhole and into the sewers. They see an injured Beardy slumped on one of the metal grates. He's still holding the baby. He knows that he isn't going to make it, so he tells Iris the name of his boat that's docked on the nearby pier. He also asks her to take care of his baby. The same demented man then arrives at the sewer. Iris only has a nail gun for a weapon. Resolved in protecting Tata, she orders her daughter to run while she sacrifices herself to get the demented man into a trance. He pummels Iris, and beats her bloody. But instead of running, Tata waits until the man is frozen, before shooting him in the head with the nail gun. Luckily Iris is still alive. They take the baby and make it to Beardy's boat. They stare out at the sea, finally safe from the horrors of the night. But in the next scene, we see the zombie in the swimming pool coming back to life, signifying that water is unfortunately not their safe haven.